WWE superstar Drew Gulak releases a statement on the alleged backstage incident involving himself and former WWE superstar Ronda Rousey. We'll let you know what he said on social media. Cody Rhodes appears on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and discusses his defeat last year at WrestleMania 39 against Roman Reigns, his rivalry with The Rock, also if he even thought about re-signing with AEW prior to putting pen to paper on a new WWE contract. He also touches on CM Punk's comments about his former boss Tony Khan, as well as his current relationship with the Elite and much more. And AEW commentator Tony Schiavone gives his opinion on CM Punk's comments on the podcast interview he did with Ariel Helwani this week. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about the reaction from Drew Gulak to Ronda Rousey after Rousey made some allegations against the current NXT star in an interview she did to promote her book that's going to be coming out this week. Now, as the lawsuit against Vince McMahon alleging sex trafficking and abuse continues to move forward, stories of WWE's backstage culture over the years have continued to emerge. Among the most outspoken about WWE's culture is former WWE superstar Ronda Rousey, who has called out Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, John Laurinaitis, and several others for their previous behavior. Now, Rousey saved her most explosive revelation for a Tuesday appearance on Banfield, where she claimed that WWE star Drew Gulak grabbed at the strings of her sweatpants and attempted to pull them as he walked by. The incident, which occurred in front of Bruce Pritchard and a WWE writer who showed no reaction, left Rousey taken aback by Gulak's actions, and she would later confront him over the incident, leading to Gulak apologizing, according to Rousey. If you're not familiar, here's what Rousey said.
Bruce Pritchard and another one of the writers, and God, I forgot his name. I can't believe I forgot this guy's name. It'll come back to me. But I was standing there, and this guy that I was like barely an acquaintance with grabs the string of like my sweatpants as I'm walking by, and like nobody, like I wasn't even looking at him, you know, and I looked down the hall and I was like, I don't know if I can swear on this. Are you gonna bleep me? It's a quote, okay? But this guy grabs the string of my sweatpants and nobody else reacts as if this is abnormal. And he grabs it and he starts going down the hall and I'm just like, what the was that? Like, why are you grabbing the string of my sweatpants? If my husband was standing here next to me, would you feel comfortable like walking up to me and grabbing the string of my sweatpants? And nobody around me acted like as if it was abnormal. Like they're like all the guys around me were just like, you know, this is part of the day. And I'm like, if this guy is coming up to me and doing this kind of stuff to me when there's other people around, like what's happening to these other girls when it's not in a hallway or something like that? So that really put me on an edge to like, not only is this like behavior prevalent, but it's so prevalent that people don't even realize it's a problem anymore.
Who was this guy?
Dude, I swear to God, I know exactly what he looks like, and I completely am blanking on his name. Is this part of my concussion test? Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak. That's who it was. Yes. Yeah, I went and confronted him later, and I was like, if I ever hear about you putting like your hands on any other woman like this or doing anything like this to me ever again, we're gonna have I'm editing myself all the swear words out, but we're gonna have a problem. And he was like, no, you know, I'm glad that you said something to me. He's really like backpedaled and everything like that. But it just put a really sour taste in my mouth about the culture there and what's considered acceptable and how to touch and treat the women in the hallways and anywhere. But back
now, people were waiting to see what the reaction would be, not only from WWE, but also from Drew Gulak himself. Now, Drew Gulak has since responded by posting the following on social media today. He said, quote, backstage at a WWE event in 2022, I saw Ronda talking with a group in the hallway. I stopped to say hi and shake all their hands, and in an attempt to shake her hand, I accidentally touched her drawstring. Complete accident, and one that I had apologized to her for the mishap. Now, no other statement has been released by Rousey or Gulak or WWE since then. As I mentioned, Rousey's yet to comment regarding Gulak's version of events, while WWE is yet to acknowledge either Rousey or Gulak's statement either. Now, signed by WWE following the Cruiserweight Classic in 2016, Gulak currently works on WWE's NXT brand as the leader of the No Quarter Catch Crew stable. He most recently competed on NXT television 2 weeks ago, defeating Riley Osborne in a Heritage Cup match. So, what do you make of Ronda Rousey's accusation, her retelling of events there? What do you make of Drew Gulak's response there? Do you think it's going to lead to anything else, or is it just going to be one of these stories that kind of just stays out there? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, Cody Rhodes, along with several other WWE stars this week, has appeared on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. Of course, the other day we saw CM Punk and Rhea Ripley appearing on the program. That was on Monday. And now Cody Rhodes is the latest WWE star to appear. And he's had plenty to say on a variety of topics. So once again, I've done my best to kind of collate everything into one because he spoke about quite a lot here. Now, when he was asked about The Rock, he brought this up. One of his WrestleMania opponents, the final boss, The Rock, of course, is going to be teaming up with Roman Reigns in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania, while Cody Rhodes will be teaming up with the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, with potential ramifications for the main event of Night 2, Cody Rhodes versus undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. But Cody Rhodes has said the final boss reminds him of Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and what he meant by that was essentially that many people couldn't see Hulk Hogan ever turning heel back in 1996 when he turned into Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and he's kind of saying the same thing, and that it led to this entire second run for Hogan, and maybe it's going to do the exact same in the world of pro wrestling for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, he also said, and this is kind of Cody Rhodes, I think, working a little bit, and he did mention several times in the interview he didn't want to pull back the curtain too far. He said that he found out he'd be losing at WrestleMania 39 right in the ring in the moment that Roman Reigns hit the spear and the 1-2-3 hit, which many people have kind of pushed back on. There were prior reports that suggested that Cody Rhodes knew, well, actually going into WrestleMania, that he indeed was not going to be winning that night. Now, he kind of talked about the fallout of that and how he was feeling. Ariel Helwani said, how did you feel? What was your reaction to it? And he spoke about a conversation he had with John Cena. And John Cena, and this was actually on the Monday after WrestleMania, so the Raw after WrestleMania, he said that Cena said to him, quote, "Be the champion without the bout," which is what John Cena said to Cody Rhodes following WrestleMania last year. And that meant by looking at the ticket sales, looking at the ratings, and doing everything you can, acting like the champion, but just not having the title to prove it. He did stress, though, this year he wants to be the champion with the bout. Now, he was also asked about conceding the main event to The Rock on SmackDown, in that now infamous segment where he stepped aside for the Great One and it looked like we were going to be getting Roman Reigns versus The Rock in the main event of WrestleMania 40. He said, quote, "After I had conceded the main event to The Rock, I still thought I'm going to find my way there. I still thought that. It's one of the reasons I stayed dead silent. I didn't want to put an opinion on it. I don't want to get into the backstage details. What was out there is what was out there. I just felt like I was still going to make it. Then, thankfully, literally millions of people made it so I did get back." So he said that despite conceding the main event to The Rock, he always thought he was going to end up back in the main event. And now he's found himself back into not just the main event on night 2, but also the main event on night 1 as well. Now, he also then stated that he hates the term "finish the story" now because he didn't finish it the first time he was saying it last year, and now it's become a thing where everyone's saying it and everyone has their own story that they want to finish. He also mentioned that it's been used for WWE 2K24. He's mentioned it's got on t-shirts, it's catchphrases, so this year he very much does want to finish the story. He was asked by Ariel Helwani who was the first person that really coined the phrase, and Cody Rhodes gave Michael Cole the credit for coming up with the "finish the story" buzzline. He said that he may have mentioned it in an interview, but Michael Cole was really the first person to hammer it home on WWE television, and that was after he won the Royal Rumble last year. He was asked about Dusty Rhodes, obviously that being Cody Rhodes' father, and really where this whole "finish the story" thing comes from is that Dusty Rhodes never won the WWE Championship. He did kind of win it. It looked like he had won it at Madison Square Garden way back when, but of course it wasn't to be, and he had to hand the championship back. So he was asked if Dusty Rhodes ever spoke about that, and did that ever bother him? And Cody Rhodes said that Dusty Rhodes never spoke a lot about not winning the WWE title, but Dusty did talk a lot about his matches with superstar Billy Graham at Madison Square Garden. He also then kind of spoke about his entrance theme, which of course says wrestling has more than one royal family. And he said for wrestling to truly have more than one royal family, he must defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, saying that, of course, whilst the Runnels/Rhodes family is wide, we have seen the family tree of the Anoa'i family, and to really go in line with them, he has to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. He was asked about these press conferences, and this was really starting on about after the Royal Rumble this year. Of course, it was the day after the lawsuit against Vince McMahon, and he was praised by Ariel Helwani for how he conducted himself in that press conference. And it was spoken about how they can kind of be difficult and sometimes be a bit strange because you're weaving in and out of character, what's real, what's a work. But he also said that he loves those press conferences. In fact, he said that the Jey Uso Fastlane Premium Live Event press conference is a top 10 career moment. He was saying that he was still quite robotic at the time, but actually being able to be so silly was a quite liberating experience for him, and said again, it's a top 10 career moment for him. Now, when asked about Vince McMahon, who of course he was brought up, as I mentioned, talking about that lawsuit, Cody says it's important that when somebody is accused of something, that people don't shame the accuser. He also said he just likes to see how it plays out in the eyes of the law, and that justice will be served for all parties involved. Also, when talking about Vince McMahon and asked if he had had any interactions with him, he said that he hadn't had any interactions with him for a really long time. He said that he's only dealt with Triple H and Nick Khan for a long time now, and really kind of pointed to the fact that production and stories and the overall feel of WWE was changing as evidence of Vince McMahon really isn't involved anymore. And when talking about Triple H too, he said that Triple H has been an incredible mentor to him since returning to the company, and he said that he was frankly quite surprised by that. And when asked why he was so surprised by that, he mentioned the things that he said about him in the past, talking about smashing the throne and other things he had said about him in either New Japan or AEW promos, and he was so surprised how welcoming Triple H was. But he mentioned that they have a great working relationship and he's been an incredible mentor to him. He was also talked about and asked about his new WWE contract. Rhodes actually brought this up himself, saying that he had put pen to paper on a new WWE contract. It was quite interesting because he did mention that this is something they've been working on for quite some time. He did kind of reference that maybe everything wasn't totally signed, sealed, and delivered, but did say that he had signed a new contract, which I thought was quite interesting, and spoke about how possibly at the end of this contract, maybe he'd be moving into a more part-time capacity, wanted to be there for his daughter when she was 10 years old and not be wrestling full-time like he is now. Now, Ariel Helwani then said, well, what's the length of your new contract with WWE and how much money are you getting paid as well? Now, Rhodes said he wouldn't disclose a figure or the length of his contract. He said he couldn't say that, but he did allude to a pay similar to LeBron James, or at the very least said, I like to compare myself to LeBron James, alluding that, yes, he's being paid very well, and it could be for quite some time with WWE. And interestingly, he was speaking about CM Punk, and this kind of gets into the AEW stuff, which we'll talk about in just a second. But he did actually reveal something which I don't think many people knew, and he said that actually Nick Khan and Triple H told him CM Punk was going to return to WWE, and this was actually prior to Survivor Series, and stated that not only did they tell him about it, but they actually wanted his opinion on it. What did he think about CM Punk coming back to WWE as well? Now, he kind of did say that maybe his opinion on it didn't matter too much, but certainly interesting that Cody Rhodes was one of those kind of handful of people to know, even maybe before the day of Survivor Series, that CM Punk was coming back. He also said, as I mentioned, that he knew that Punk was coming back heading into Survivor Series War Games. Now, obviously, people are still talking about CM Punk's interview that he did with Ariel Helwani on Monday night, in which he talked about a variety of different topics. Maybe the most headline-grabbing stuff was his assessment of AEW and Tony Khan saying that he's not a boss, he's a nice guy, but he certainly wasn't a boss. And Cody Rhodes was asked, is that a similar assessment? Do you have a similar assessment of Tony Khan? He said, quote, that's his assessment. It's not my assessment. It's always important for me to remind people that I'm so proud of what me, Matt, Nick, Kenny, Tony, Bernie, Brandy, Dana, and Chris, and I name all these people because I was in all those meetings. As much as the internet will try and spin a narrative one way, if one of those people had not been at that startup level, the company would not have happened. I'm so proud of what was created and what it does for the industry overall, for wrestlers and their well-being, and I have an unbelievable love for so many people in that locker room, including the Bucks and Kenny, who we bonded forever over this thing that we did. So it's not my assessment. In my town there, the infrastructure was just being built up. We were trying new things. It was a startup company, and I wish them nothing but the best. He kind of spoke about maybe why these issues had taken place with CM Punk and the Young Bucks and how it didn't work out for CM Punk in AEW. And he said that there was, he thinks anyway, there was a misunderstanding and a miscommunication in AEW as far as the CM Punk / culture fit went. He said that he loved both the Elite and CM Punk individually. And we'll talk about his contract in just a second, whether he considered going back to AEW. But he described CM Punk and the Elite as ships in the night, saying they just didn't see on the same same page. They had different viewpoints on the business, and it was a miscommunication that led to how things worked out between Punk and All Elite Wrestling. He said, quote, "I love Matt, Nick, and Kenny, and I love CM Punk. I don't know how, but I do." Now, when talking about his contract that he signed with WWE, he was asked, was there any consideration going back to AEW prior to signing this new contract? I've been in WWE for a couple of years. I proved people wrong there, but now I'm going to go back to AEW, the place that I helped build. And he was pretty adamant and pretty defiant on this. He said, no, and that's not in any negative towards them. It's just, I know I didn't win the title at WrestleMania 39, but I was in the spot I always dreamed of. And I know how lucky I am to be in this spot. When I see a poster and I'm there front and center amongst other unbelievably talented people, when I see the 2K24 cover, when I see the responsibility, they didn't hand me the exact ball and say, you're the quarterback, but they, Nick and Hunter, certainly gave me a lot of responsibility. I feel it would have been against my being because I was slotted there, you helped put me there, and now I'm making something of it and growing it beyond what you thought it could be. I wanted to keep doing that for them. It just didn't cross my mind. Not in a negative towards any other places. This is what I enjoy doing. So he did say defiantly, no, he didn't consider going back to AEW. Now, he wasn't pressed on the future or anything like that, but did state that, again, it didn't cross his mind to renegotiate or use leverage and consider a return to AEW before putting pen to paper over this new deal. Now, he was also asked about this pivot. That was a clear pivot, many would suggest, because it looked like we were going to be getting The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. Then there was the fan backlash, and they quickly pivoted to this tag team match, and Cody Rhodes once again facing Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40 Night 2. Now, when asked if there was a pivot from a planned Roman Reigns versus The Rock match at WrestleMania 40, Rhodes was again pretty non-committal on pulling back the curtain, but he said, quote, "I will say this, whatever happened backstage, whatever pivot did or didn't happen, what's on television to me has been far more compelling. It's just an area I don't like to look at or talk about because what's happened on Raw and SmackDown in this build is the legend." And he kind of spoke about when it came to WrestleMania last year and all this kind of stuff that he prefers the legend as opposed to the actual facts of what happened. He also confirmed that Mama Rhodes, his mother, will be in attendance at WrestleMania. Of course, The Rock has referenced Mama Rhodes on several occasions. He maybe, just for a second, let something slip out that maybe there was going to be a confrontation between Mama Rhodes and The Rock, as The Rock has been building up to. But then he kind of pulled back on it and said, oh no, but I will not let The Rock get anywhere near her at WrestleMania. But it does appear that maybe something could happen between the final boss and the mother of the American Nightmare at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. He also confirmed that we will see Brandi Rhodes at WrestleMania 40, and he got very emotional about how his wife was treated following her AEW departure. He said, quote, "I don't know if involved is the right way to put it. Wrestling is violent no matter how you look at it. I wouldn't want her to be in that harm's way, but I do think you will see Brandi at WrestleMania, and to me, that will mean a lot. That woman got hugely scapegoated and hugely just misinformation, and everyone knows who they are that was involved. And if ever there was a moment for her to feel like a princess and feel like somebody who did a lot more for wrestling, there's so many people working for AEW. She was the one who said their name and wanted to keep them in the fold when something went wrong. How she was treated after the departure, and this was not by any company, just in general, it pisses me off to this day. She had a great experience last WrestleMania, and I look forward to that, because I couldn't do this without her." So Cody Rhodes defiantly backing his wife. He also said that he actually gifted Seth Rollins matching Rolexes for WrestleMania 40. They actually have the green sort of WrestleMania 40 Philadelphia color there, and also it says 40 in the centerpiece. When asked if there was only 2 in existence, he did kind of slip up once again and say, well, maybe there are more than 2 in existence, but I won't say who has them. You could make a jump as to who maybe does have them. Maybe Roman Reigns, maybe The Rock, maybe Triple H, maybe Nick Khan. We'll have to wait and see if that ever comes out one day. And finally, he was asked what other matches he's interested in looking at WrestleMania and seeing. He said, quote, "Gunther is the type of wrestler that I want to wrestle and test myself against. I'm at all times impressed by his continued growth because you think he's amazing now. He's only getting better. He gets in great shape and everything he does in the ring is crisper, and he's just meaner and a true bruiser. He's up against one of the most outstanding artists that there is in Sami Zayn, and Sami refuses to not be interesting. That setup is really unique. week. And I say Becky and Rhea because I think the man is, and well, all the respect in the world goes to Rhea Ripley, my other cover star. I just think Becky is in the position where right now fans might have forgotten just how unbelievable the man, because I watched her from afar when the man was happening. The blood, nobody was catching on with the fans in an organic way like that. I just think that she's bringing it with extra fire. Please get her book. I bought 20 of them. He actually revealed that he gave out those 20, or is going to give out those 20 copies to people at his Nightmare Factory wrestling school. He also said, quote, I also love what Ricochet has been doing lately, so keeping my eyes on him. So what did you make of Cody Rhodes' appearance on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani? Was it a good interview? Was there anything that surprised you? Let me know your thoughts and reaction to it in the comment section below. And finally, Tony Schiavone. He was actually referenced by CM Punk on that same show, the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, when talking about the Jack Perry Real Glass incident backstage at AEW Collision. And he recalled the origins of the incident, CM Punk and Jack Perry talking to Tony Schiavone about the glass spot, claiming that Perry shouted at Schiavone as well as everyone else. And speaking on his What Happened When podcast, Schiavone commented on Punk's interview saying he doesn't give a shit and telling everyone to move on. He said, quote, did he have a couple of stories about me? Jungle Boy, right? Conrad Thompson noted that CM Punk brought Schiavone up, but not in a negative way. He said, quote, you know what? I really don't give a shit about it. I'm not going to get into this. I know what he said, and let him continue to talk if he wants. That's all I got. Look, okay, I don't give a shit. That's all I can say. I can't get into it. It would be stupid for me to get into that. I had no idea what he said, with the exception of someone told me, oh, he brought up your name. Here's what he said. I went, so what? So effing what? Now, Thompson said Punk was not critical of him. He said, quote, I know, that's what I'm saying. So what if he was critical of me? People would say, oh, Schiavone on his podcast wanted to defend himself. I have nothing to defend. Let's move on. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.